Oh no, not even a second grader would survive this. Covered in decaying fur, the cat reeked of infection. Her Oni-chan, brotherly savior, tried his best to lick her clean, but the infection had already spread to her brain. She had become a lifeless, limp cat cradled in his arms. By the time the rescuer found her, it had already been a week since the car accident. In hopes of keeping her alive, the kind man naively offered a treat, but she didn't respond. That's when he noticed. Her mouth looked completely shattered. Her tongue was exposed. Even being able to see clearly felt like a luxury. No wonder she was skin and bones. Knowing her end was near, she dragged her rotting body to the roadside, ready to die alone. Still believing everything deserves a second chance, the kind soul gently placed her in a cardboard box and rushed her to the hospital. "She's burning up," the vet said. Her whole body was hot with infection, but nothing could have prepared them for what they discovered next. Her jawbone was shattered. One eye was completely gone. Her skull and nose were torn apart. Her mouth was filled with holes and rotting flesh. Even living organisms, maggots, were wriggling deep in her wounds. The vet worked tirelessly, flushing the nasal cavity, clearing her crushed mouth, and trying to save the gem that was once her eye. After days of treatment, her rescuer came back to visit. He hoped she had passed the critical stage. But the vet shared the truth. She had been crying out in pain for several nights. During the visit, they saw tissue pushing out unnaturally from her mouth. Her brain had suffered irreparable damage, and the oral infections were worsening. Even if she were saved, she would be left with severe disabilities and constant relapses. It would only bring her more pain. In the end, following the vet's advice, they chose to let her go. Euthanasia was the kindest option. She may have left this world, but at least she didn't suffer in her final moments. The kind man continues to rescue stray cats, hoping that every wandering fur baby out there can receive more love and care. Out of nowhere, the cat leapt toward its owner's face, clinging to his head like a horror movie creature and gnawing like there was no tomorrow. The man struggled desperately to shake it off. But the cat wasn't done. It launched a second surprise attack with eyes burning like fire. This isn't the first time. It's the second cat in this area that launched a full-on face assault with no warning. Same style. Violent, head-first attacks followed by repeated ambushes. But why? Why would a cat turn on its human like this? Here's where it gets creepy. The man in need of help was the second owner of this cat. He even showed a photo of the first owner's head, split open from a similar attack. The reason he called for help? His wife, yes, the woman hiding by the door in fear, was also ambushed by the cat while doing her makeup at home. Fortunately, her husband intervened just in time. She escaped with only a few scratches. But just imagine if there had been no one there to protect her. So, our legendary rescuer showed up, armed with his Super King tool and full determination. The cat, now dubbed Blackface, was glaring from under a chair like a little demon. But our man didn't hesitate. Before Blackface could even run, the tool was already aimed at its face, full control engaged. The cat tried to escape, but it was too late. Just as the camera started recording, the real show began. Hiding won't save you, little monster. Even the cameraman almost got targeted until a small dog swooped in to protect him. After a short battle, the rescuer gently moved the chair and said, "It's time to show some real skills." Captured and subdued, Blackface had no choice but to obey. Meanwhile, the woman kept describing how sweet this cat used to be, but our rescuer could tell something was off. He looked around, cat supplies everywhere. This wasn't just love, it was spoiling gone wrong. Apparently, the cat felt neglected after another pet was adopted. So he started acting out, attacking people to get attention. Now, both former owners were left with scars, and even the woman walked with a limp after the attack. So our rescuer decided it was time for Blackface to spend a few quiet days in the Firefly Sanctuary for some serious attitude adjustment. Of course, he never mistreats cats. But whether the other cats there will treat Blackface kindly? Well, that's another story. After all, even face spider Yaya used to be wild and angry. Now, she's calm, sweet, and no longer attacks out of nowhere. Maybe there's hope for Blackface too. cat huddled in the corner, quietly sobbing, her face covered in scabbed-over blood from every opening. She knew she didn't have long, so she found a quiet spot, waiting for the end. Just as she was about to take her final breath, a man appeared, like a beam of light, breaking through the heavy shadow of death that clung to her tiny body. He gently tapped her head, trying to give her strength. The cat, weak and dazed, drifted off again. Still, he didn't give up. He pulled out a meat stick, trying to feed her and extend her life. Strangely, the cat gulped in anticipation, clearly craving the treat. But her face twisted in pain and she just couldn't bring herself to eat. After several failed attempts, she turned her head away and buried it in the corner. Based on his years of rescuing strays, the man suspected the worst. When a cat bleeds from all orifices, wants to eat but can't, and breathes rapidly, it's often the result of a fall from a high place. He checked her bones. Thankfully, nothing was broken. The blood? Likely from internal trauma. His hands were soon covered in blood. The situation was clearly more serious than it looked. When he gently put her down to test her movement, she limped visibly. Her left eye was also half closed, barely able to open. Without hesitation, he scooped her up again and rushed to the hospital. The vet confirmed his suspicions. The cat had bleeding in the cornea, most likely due to a high fall that caused serious internal damage. Thankfully, she still had a chance of recovery. Any worse, and it might have been the end. To be thorough, the vet took full-body scans. Her limping was caused by a minor ligament sprain, nothing broken. In the end, the only real damage was the injury to her eye. But with treatment, it could be repaired. Soon, the brave little ragdoll cat completed her urgent recovery. And once she fully heals, she'll head to the Firefly Sanctuary to enjoy the peaceful life she deserves. Both her rescuer and the loving community are waiting with open arms. A tumor the size of a fist had taken over the cat's cheek, oozing pus, rotting flesh, and bleeding endlessly. He knew his time was running out. So, with a heavy heart, he turned away from the world and curled up in a dark corner, quietly waiting for death. But then came a kind soul, a man who couldn't bear to leave him behind. He gently opened a can of delicious cat food and begged the cat to eat just a little shrimp. Drawn by the smell, the cat painfully dragged his swollen cheek toward the food and began to lick. Slowly, painfully, gratefully. With every lick of the food, the tumor on his face burst open, squeezing out more blood and pus. It was horrifying. I can't imagine how much pain he was in. But the only thing visible were the silent tears falling from both of his eyes. He didn't complain. He just kept licking, trying to finish his first full meal in days. Because during his time of abandonment, this was his only warm and tasty meal. He still remembered. Before the tumor grew, he was once someone's beloved pet. Now, all of that was just a memory, a dream, long faded. He thought, maybe after this meal, it would be time to go. But his rescuer didn't believe in giving up. He insisted on taking the cat to the hospital to get him a second chance at life. At the vet clinic, the cat was given fluids to ease the pain. Then came the examination. From the inside of his mouth, the tumor hadn't yet spread deeply. But from the outside, the situation looked grim. The pus had matted his fur into solid clumps. Once the fur was shaved off, the massive tumor was fully exposed. The vet tried pressing it, hoping it was just an abscess. But after some tests, they confirmed. It was a fibrous tumor intertwined with facial nerves. Removing it would likely be fatal. Had the tumor been caught early, treatment would have been much easier. But now, the chances were low. The vet gave two options. 1. Palliative care, fluids, anti-inflammatory meds, and comfort until the end. Let him live out his final days in peace, as long as he can still eat and drink. If the tumor grew larger, it could eventually crush his vision and cause unbearable pain. The rescuer was torn. He chose to continue supportive care for now, giving the cat strength for a little longer. But in the face of such a heartbreaking case, what would you do? What would be the kindest decision for this little soul?